Most people think manipulation looks like aggression. It doesn't. It looks like friendship, concern, a seemingly generous act that transforms into control, disguised as care. What if the people you trust most are already running this play on you, right now, without you noticing? And what if there's a way to move through all of it untouched, without becoming cold, bitter, or paranoid? You've been conditioned to believe that goodness is a shield, that honesty disarms hostility, that if you just explain yourself clearly enough, people will understand. But here's the brutal truth. Predators don't respect goodness. They harvest it. Your transparency becomes their roadmap. Your kindness becomes their ammunition. And your need to be understood becomes the chain they use to drag you exactly where they want you. Sun Tzu wrote, "All warfare is based on deception." But the most devastating wars aren't fought with weapons. They're fought with words, silence, and the strategic absence of reaction. This video isn't theory. It's a field manual for the invisible battlefield. You're about to discover how to become psychologically untouchable, how to turn every manipulation attempt into a failed expedition, and how to move through social warfare like smoke through fingers, present but impossible to grasp. Once you see these patterns, people you thought were harmless will start looking very different. In a second, I'll show you the first move that scrambles a manipulator's entire script. Then we'll stack each protocol on top of the last, until you become someone they can't even figure out how to attack. Before we talk about what to say, ask yourself this. What happens inside a manipulator's mind when the reaction they designed never arrives? Here's what breaks a manipulator's spine: the absence of the reaction they engineered for. They've crafted the perfect provocation. They've baited the hook with precision. They're waiting for anger, defensiveness, explanation, anything that confirms they've penetrated your emotional fortress, and you give them nothing. Not cold silence, not hostile withdrawal, just smooth, impenetrable neutrality. The phantom response is strategic non-engagement. When they push, you don't push back. You don't even acknowledge the push happened. You respond to a completely different element of the conversation, something trivial, something that renders their attack irrelevant without ever addressing it directly. Why is this devastating? Because manipulation requires participation. It's a dance that needs two bodies. When you refuse to step onto their choreographed floor, the entire performance collapses. They're left shadowboxing with their own tactics, while you've already moved 3 conversations ahead. The manipulator is left in psychological freefall. Did you not notice? Did you not care? Are you 3 steps ahead of them? The uncertainty becomes their prison, and uncertainty is kryptonite to those who operate through control. Master this, and you become a ghost in their targeting system, present, but never where they aim. If you're ready to become impossible to manipulate, comment below. I am the Phantom. And if taking away their expected reaction cripples them this much, what happens when you also take away their favorite weapon, the delayed strike? There's a reason every manipulator wants you answering now, deciding now, apologizing now. The real question is, what happens when now no longer exists for you? Manipulators operate on one critical assumption, that you'll respond in real time. They rely on immediacy because immediacy bypasses thinking. When you answer instantly, you're reacting from emotion, from social conditioning, from the primal need to resolve tension immediately. And that's exactly when they own you. The delayed strike shatters this entire framework. You don't respond when they expect. You create temporal space, sometimes minutes, sometimes days, that transforms the entire power dynamic. Silence isn't emptiness. It's pressure building in their mind while clarity builds in yours. Here's the psychological warfare beneath this tactic. When you delay, they start creating narratives. They begin questioning whether their approach worked. They wonder if you saw through them. They start second-guessing their strategy. Meanwhile, you're observing their follow-up behavior, They're desperation signals. They're tells. You're gathering intelligence while they're generating anxiety. But here's the deeper layer. Strategic delay isn't procrastination, it's reconnaissance. During that pause, watch what they do. Do they double message? Do they soften their approach? Do they get aggressive? Each response gives you data about their true intentions and their emotional stability. You're not just delaying, you're extracting intelligence. Machiavelli understood that timing isn't just important, it's everything. The prince who strikes too early reveals his hand. The prince who strikes too late loses the advantage. But the prince who controls the tempo of engagement, he dictates the entire game. Never respond from pressure, respond from power. And power is patient, so now you can erase their reaction and collapse their timelines. But what about the favors they did months ago? The ones they're planning to cash in when your guard is down? The loyalty extraction. Think back. How many kind gestures in your life came with a price tag you only saw later? Here's a manipulation tactic so subtle most people never see it coming. Manufactured reciprocity. Someone does you an unsolicited favor, offers unexpected help, or provides information you didn't ask for. Then, days or weeks later, they make a request, and when you hesitate, they remind you of past favors. This is loyalty extraction. They're not building genuine relationship. They're making investments they plan to collect later on with interest. They're creating artificial debt in your psychological ledger, then cashing it in when you're least prepared to refuse. The counter tactic is ruthlessly simple. Acknowledge without obligation. When someone offers unsolicited help, you can accept it graciously while maintaining zero sense of indebtedness. That's kind of you is different from I owe you. One is appreciation, the other is psychological contract. But here's where you flip the entire dynamic. You become the one who gives strategically without ever asking for return. You help when it serves your values, not when it creates leverage. You do favors that can never be called in because you never mention them again. This makes you psychologically unreachable through guilt-based manipulation. When someone later tries the "after all I did for you" card, your response is surgical. I appreciate what you chose to do. That was your decision. This is mine. No anger, no justification, just boundary reinforcement that's smoother than glass and harder than steel. Real power isn't in who owes you, it's in owing no one. When you operate with zero emotional debt, you move through social structures like water, adapting to every container but never belonging to any. The most dangerous person in any room isn't the one collecting favors. It's the one who needs nothing from anyone. And even when you need nothing, there's still one more way they try to hook you, by convincing you to hand them the blueprint to your mind. Strategic opacity. Have you ever noticed how "be honest, be open, be transparent" always sounds noble, right up until someone uses your honesty as a weapon? Transparency is the virtue they sell you to keep you controllable. Just be yourself, speak your truth, share your authentic feelings. Beautiful advice for poets, suicide for strategists. Every piece of information you volunteer is a potential weapon in someone else's arsenal. Strategic opacity isn't lying, it's selective revelation. It's the disciplined curation of what you allow others to access, about your thinking, your plans, your vulnerabilities. You're not fake. You're fortified. You're not closed off. You're classified. The principle is simple. Never give your full position on anything unless it serves a strategic purpose. When asked direct questions, answer with questions. When pressed for opinions, speak in hypotheticals. When someone tries to pin down your intentions, remain beautifully, frustratingly unclear. In negotiations, the person who reveals the least wins. In conflicts, the party whose true capabilities remain unknown holds strategic advantage. In relationships, the one who remains partially mysterious maintains attraction and respect. Your life isn't a testimony. It's classified intelligence. Treat it accordingly. But all of this, silence, delay, ambiguity, rests on one deeper reality. You must be able to walk away. And that's where most people break. The vanishing point. Ask yourself, if you actually walked away from that person, that job, that opportunity, what would you lose? And what would they lose? The ultimate power move isn't dominance, it's dispensability. Specifically, their dispensability from your life. When a manipulator realizes you genuinely don't need them, don't need the relationship, don't need the outcome they're holding hostage, their entire strategy collapses like a house of cards in a hurricane. Most manipulation works because of attachment. They bet everything on your fear of loss, your fear of being alone, your fear of missing out, your fear of being seen as difficult or unreasonable. But when you've cultivated genuine internal sufficiency, when you've built a life where no single person, job, or opportunity is irreplaceable, you become psychologically bulletproof. The vanishing point is your ace card. It's the quiet knowledge, visible in your energy, that you can walk away at any moment without breaking stride. You're not threatening to leave. You're not announcing boundaries. You're simply existing in a state of such complete non-attachment that manipulation has nothing to grip. This shows up in micro ways. Someone escalates to force your compliance. Instead of matching their energy or appeasing them, you become quieter, calmer. You might even smile slightly, not mockingly, just knowingly. The message is clear. Your intensity has zero impact on my peace. That's more intimidating than any threat. In relationships, when a partner uses withdrawal as punishment, the attached person panics and chases. The person operating from the vanishing point, they use that space productively. They work on themselves. They connect with others. They're fine, better than fine. And when the manipulator returns expecting desperation, they find someone who barely noticed they were gone. This isn't cold, it's free. This isn't heartless, it's sovereign. You can love people deeply while simultaneously being completely okay if they choose to leave. That paradox is what most people never master. Build multiple streams of fulfillment, cultivate relationships across different domains, develop skills that make you valuable in multiple contexts. Never let any single point of failure exist in your life architecture. When you're genuinely okay walking away from anything, you never have to. People sense that freedom, and they either respect it or they remove themselves. Your power is directly proportional to how little you need from any specific source. But even when you're free enough to walk, there's one last upgrade, the one that makes manipulators nervous the moment you enter the room, long before you ever speak. The silent catalog. What if, instead of arguing with them, you quietly turned every move they make into evidence for later? While they're performing, you're documenting. While they're testing boundaries, you're noting patterns. While they're assuming you're reacting emotionally, you're building a forensic psychological profile of their tactics in silence. The silent catalog is your invisible weapon. You don't call out manipulation in the moment. You don't confront each transgression. You simply remember. You mentally timestamp every lie, every contradiction, every boundary violation. You're creating an airtight case that exists only in your awareness until the moment it needs to be deployed. Why is this devastatingly effective? Because manipulators operate on a critical assumption that you forget, that you let things slide, that each incident exists in isolation. They're counting on you being too emotional to connect the dots. But when you maintain emotional neutrality and documentary precision, you see what they desperately need you to miss, the pattern. In practice, a colleague takes credit for your idea in a meeting. You don't protest. You note it. A week later, they subtly undermine you to your boss. You don't defend. You catalog it. A month later, they ask you to cover for their mistake. You remember everything. And when the critical moment arrives, maybe a performance review, maybe a project dispute, you present a timeline of documented behavior that's impossible to refute because you have dates, contexts, witnesses for each event. You're not being vindictive. You're being strategic. You're letting them build their own case against themselves while they think they're getting away with it. This works in personal relationships too. Someone gaslights you about something they said. You don't argue in the moment, but you remember the exact conversation. When they later claim, "I never said that," you can calmly repeat their exact words, the context, even what you both were drinking. That level of precision destroys gaslighting permanently. The silent catalog transforms you from reactive victim to strategic prosecutor. You're not proving yourself innocent. You're proving them guilty with evidence they forgot you were collecting. And here's the beautiful part. Most of the time, you never have to use it. Just the energy of someone who clearly remembers everything, who misses nothing, who forgets no slight, makes manipulators cautious. They start self-regulating around you because they sense they're being recorded, even though you've never said a word. You're not keeping score, you're keeping evidence. And evidence, deployed strategically, ends games permanently. You've reached the threshold, the point of no return, where manipulation doesn't just fail around you, it becomes impossible. You've stopped being the person who reacts, who explains, who proves their worth to those judging from positions of illegitimate authority. You've become something else entirely, something that makes manipulators uncomfortable before they even understand why. You're present but unreachable, friendly but impenetrable, clear but unreadable. You've mastered the art of being in the room without being in the game. Your silence now carries weight. Your stillness radiates authority. When you speak, people listen differently because they've learned that your words are chosen, not reactive. When you commit, people trust it because they know you never commit from pressure. And when you walk away, no one questions it because they've seen that you only stay where you're genuinely valued. This isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming complete. You no longer need external validation because you've built unshakable internal authority. You're not defending your decisions because you've stopped making decisions that require defense. You're not proving your worth because you've transcended the entire economy of proving. Manipulators hate you now, not personally, but conceptually. You represent their worst nightmare, someone who can't be moved, someone who sees through social games but doesn't waste energy calling them out, someone who simply opts out of manipulative dynamics entirely, leaving manipulators to play alone. But here's what you must understand. This power comes with responsibility. You're now operating at a level most people never reach. Use it with precision. Don't become what you learned to defeat. Don't manipulate under the guise of protection. Stay rooted in genuine values while maintaining strategic awareness. You are psychologically sovereign now. No one enters your mental space without invitation. No one disturbs your peace without consequence. And no one, absolutely no one, mistakes your kindness for weakness ever again. If you've completed the transformation, if you've become strategically untouchable, comment below. I am sovereign. This is where most videos end. This is where I begin making you a promise. Subscribe and turn on all notifications because what comes next goes deeper. The next video reveals what even this one only touched on: how to build social architectures where manipulation can't exist, how to create relationships based on mutual sovereignty rather than power games, and how to identify the 3 types of people you should never let into your inner circle under any circumstances. You've learned defense. Next, you learn construction. You've learned how to be untouchable. Next, you learn how to build the untouchable life. The game has changed. You're no longer playing. You're designing the board. And that makes you more dangerous than any manipulator could ever hope to be. Hit that subscribe button. The war isn't over, it's just evolved. And now you're the evolution.